Hello and welcome to A Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. The increases in sex trafficking activity around the Super Bowl have long been reported and rumored, but with little facts to back the claim. But what is known is that in the United States, the sex trafficking business brings in some $32 billion annually and endangers more than 300,000 children. Someone who knows firsthand the harsh reality of the high-class sex trafficking business was a victim herself, Annie Lobert, and she reveals the devastatingly tragic details of her life in her book, Fallen Out of the Sex Industry and Into the Arms of the Savior. And Annie joins me now. Welcome, Annie.
Hi, Lauren. How are you?
I am fine. Well, you know, your book is almost too painful to read and hard to put down, actually. I'll tell you, those first 2 pages, you reveal that the man you were in love with turns out to be a pimp. He beats you senseless within an inch of your life, and still you stayed. Why?
You know, that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that when it comes to being broken by a sex trafficker, aka pimp, part of the breaking is a domestic violence aspect with a twist. And you're already in love with the trafficker. You've already established a really good relationship and rapport with him, and when he does this to you, he's got you hook, line, and sinker with the romantic side of the relationship, and you've already become dependent on him. So it's very, very difficult to understand why we stay, but a lot of the girls stay, and it's bars that we cannot physically see. It's all mind manipulation and brainwashing and coercion.
You know, you reveal in your book that your father actually did beat your mother, was somewhat abusive. And do you think that had something to do with you kind of staying with an abusive relationship?
Absolutely. I think that people don't realize that little kids, children, teenagers, adults, we watch each other, and especially children are so vulnerable to our upraising and what we see around us, especially with what our parents do in front of us. And even though we don't want to mimic the bad behavior, we end up letting it happen to us, or we become the perpetrator ourselves. And I think that that was the reason why I believed I could somehow change my trafficker's mind, turn him into a normal man, and get him out of the lifestyle like I wanted to get out of the lifestyle.
Like was your fault. So how do pimps then lure women into this kind of high-class sex trafficking business?
Well, pimps, you know, they actually search out certain types of women that are missing something, women that are looking to make money, for one. That's one of their main ploys. They look for women that are vulnerable, women that are naive, and women that are just looking for romance. And a lot of the traffickers, especially with the underage children, they like to go to the movies, the roller skating rinks, the parks, the after school activities. They I've been they've been known to go to shelters and wait outside, even orphanages, for the kids to come outside to talk to them and to lure them. So these men are dangerous criminals that are basically on the brink of psychopath behavior, and they will do whatever it takes to lure whoever it is they want to make money off of and exploit.
You know, the beginning of the segment I talked about how the Super Bowl really is a magnet for that kind of activity. Why so? Why the Super Bowl?
You know, the Super Bowl is quite a magnet. In Las Vegas, I made a killer amount of money on the Super Bowl. However, I think any event that draws a major crowd and a major draw of money, especially sporting events, is a place where people can become trafficked, kids can become trafficked. And what the traffickers do is they follow each event across the country, across different countries, whatever that event may be, like let's say the Olympics. Very simple. People get trafficked everywhere. It's not just a one-time occurrence because there's one large event. In Las Vegas specifically, there was always a new event going on every week, every month that we would gravitate towards. And there would be girls from different cities coming in from different countries with different pimps coming in just to make money for these events.
So there's one of the things that's going to happen at the Super Bowl, a lot of people coming into the Super Bowl, they're traveling from out of town, out of the country, and they're going there and they're going to have a great time, and they're under the impression that the girls that they might hire for sex are doing it on their own and are doing it on their own free will. You say what?
I say that's absolutely not the truth. I can't tell you the exact number because no real stats have been done yet, but my friends that were in the game with me, all my friends had traffickers and pimps. I would say out of the 100 girls I knew, about 80 had pimps. So if you kind of take that stat in itself, from my own personal experience, 80% will possibly be trafficked or higher. And that when a man calls for a little girl, a young lady, that he is actually contributing to the sex trafficker's ability to keep doing this in a larger scale. And they need to know that.
Yeah, they need to know that. You have a website. You have started an organization called Hookers for Jesus. A lot of the information you were saying to us, you can find it on the website. I want to repeat about your book because it's really fascinating. It's called Fallen Out of the Sex Industry and Into the Arms of the Savior. You became a Christian, and you're a real advocate for getting women off the streets and out of the arms of these psychopath pimps. And I want to thank you so much, Annie Lobert, for being on Spirited Debate. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lauren.